Hi, my name is Patricio Garza and actual host of the Politics In-Depth Analysis podcast. We currently have a topic on mind that includes democracy. We have a few questions already in mind that will explain this term, what the meaning is supposed to be, and other reliable questions that we can use to fully understand the controversy nowadays with this term. Today we have a special guest, actual student of Tec de Monterrey. He has been taking the course of citizenship and democracy this semester and has been learning about democracy and the conflicts related to its meaning. Welcome, Ángel.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Our main objective during this podcast will be to discuss democracy as a whole. We're going to talk about how it began, what it is now, the implications of making change, the conflicts of differentiating what democracy was before and what it is now. We're also going to talk about the representatives of democracy and what do they mean. And at the end, we're going to make a conclusion about where we think democracy is going. We are glad to have you with us today. How about you introduce yourself and talk about what democracy is supposed to mean, how it began, and how it can be compared to the definition that we have now.
Hi, my name is Ángel Zubieta and I am a student from Tec de Monterrey. During this past semester, I have been learning about the origins of democracy and how this concept has evolved by the passing of the years. Let's start by stating that there is a huge misconception about the true meaning of this concept, so-called democracy. There are actual issues that, when defining what democracy is, due to the totally different understandings and definitions of the word. These problems arise from the idea that many states that are ruling today have a democracy as a system of government, while in reality, they have a contrasting system from democracy. The origins of true democracy come from Greece, at 507 before Christ at the city of Athens. This is the most true and direct democracy because of the actual power relied with the citizens. The charges at the governments were selected randomly with prepared citizens, and this selected group was left in service to the orders of the majority. The citizens had an obligation with the state to participate and to be part in the process involving democracy. Even so, that assemblies in which every citizen had to assist were created in order for the people to exercise their power to vote on the decisions and activities from the government and the own citizens. In a true democracy, you had to be a complete citizen, which later caused the fall of this type of government system since it left all of its citizens living in poverty. Now, if we do a comparison between the democracy, the true democracy, and the so-called democracy we live today, we can see that there's only one common thing that both systems share. And this is the exercise to vote. And so, the general definition of today's democracy concept is a system of government where all power relies on voting. In Mexico, the country I live, the majority of the people will call the government that we have a democracy, while, in a point of fact, we have a representative republic, which we copied from the United States, and they copied it from France, where it was born during the French Revolution. Thanks.
Yeah, I think the most justifiable reason for that modification in the meaning of democracy is, of course, change. Change is inevitable. It is the evolution of society. We are so evolved compared to what humans lived on before that actually change is inevitable. I mean, think about how humans have come across the universe. I mean, at first we've been molecular beings, and then we changed into what it can be defined as Homo sapiens, and then so on, and then came Greece, and then came the Industrial Revolution, wars, and so on. Change is not good when it is not under our control, but it has started to fall out of our hands when change came in a very complicated manner. Greece fell because all they relied on was politics and nothing else. They did not have control of their living, money, agriculture that society needs to thrive. Change in politics should have been measured, and with great measure come great results. At first, the people were the rulers, but that meant they devoted their whole life to that process. It was a life's work, but for the greater good. A bunch of people chose a few people, and nowadays we have it backwards, since a few people, the one behind the political parties and the big names in the industry, can sway elections almost any time the way they want to. Of course, the vote to the people always counts, but sometimes society feels like it does not. Some implications of democracy can be horrible, at least in Mexico. The system and process of political elections have really let down a lot of people because, as I said before, political parties and very important people make decisions behind the curtains that is supposed to benefit the country, at least what they say, if they say anything at all. And even when elected people get to sit in their chair looking downward to people, they make promises that they do not keep. That is another problem with the system. Society relies on the promises a candidate makes, and it is so wrong in every way. We cannot truly believe that they can achieve all of those promises, and experience has told us that they never do. In ancient Greece, it was based on a test that some can fail and some can pass, but there was always a certain filter that the candidates had to go through to get elected by the majority. On to another question, Ángel. Why are representative governments called democracies? What is your opinion regarding this conceptual overlap?
These representative republics are called democracies because they use a voting system. Yet, in a representative republic, the exercise to vote is in order to elect candidates that are running for a specific charge in government. After voting, the whole power resides in these representatives that were chosen by the majority of the people. These representatives then make all the decisions regarding the state. Therefore, I think it is safe to say that representatives maintain all of this power while the citizens lose theirs after they go voting, right? So, anyways, I think it feels safer to say that we live in a democracy where the majority of the people rule and have power. Maybe this is why we call our forms of government democracies, because we would like to believe that somehow we are part in the decision making regarding our communities, our cities, and our countries to a better and safer place to live, even though we really don't. Yet, this type of government does have advantages over true democracy, because true democracy, first of all, like in ancient Greece, it is impossible to apply in the present. Cities and countries, populations have grown so much since the birth of true democracy that this form of government can't be used unless you have a truly small population. Population matters because countries such as Mexico and United States could never assemble this type of assemblies where all the citizens would assist in order to practice democracy. That will be super impossible to gather literally all the Mexicans to an assembly in order to vote. So personally, I feel that all the issues with the definitions of democracy come from the confusion that democracy uses voting systems, and today's democracy uses a voting system so the people feel that they have power to contribute to the decisions and actions made in the government. Yet the truth is that all the power goes to the representatives. So basically, we can say that the main difference between democracies in ancient Greece and today's is that in Greece, people had the power. Everybody decided what we're going to do with the country, but today, our democracy, so-called, the power lies with our representatives that we voted for. Thanks.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but still, we cannot rely on the past. I mean, we can for experience, but we cannot think about it and talk about it. We have to make a change in the present and in the future because we have to see and talk about where democracy is going. Because for me, democracy is not going where it is intended to go. History has told us that control in the wrong hands can be catastrophic. Mexico's system is very corrupt and so damaged that society is enraged by what it is. The problem in the country is that there is no change in the political parties, and even in the candidacies you will vote for the least worst. El dicho famoso de votar por el menos peor. We're beginning to see independent candidacies in local and up to state elections. Nuevo León had its first independent government elected, and even him did not live up to expectations. And a poll can justify that, because that poll asks if people would choose, if re-election was possible, would the Neoloneses choose him again, and more than 60% said no. The situation of today's elections of mayors. Mayors of Monterrey and Guadalupe had been discussing who should have won, and even recall election was made these past few weeks. San Pedro is going through the same situation. Independent elected Mayor Miguel Treviño is having some trouble because apparently people are saying that he did not win rightfully and some changes needed. This news has been in the past 2 years. Democracy in our country is nowhere to be found. It has never been there. The problem with the damaged political system is that we do not know what is next, and sometimes when in pressure, we make the wrong decision. This time electing a socialist believer named Andrés Manuel López Obrador. He has run for president 3 times, and I think the third time's the charm, because society did not see a good change the past 12 years, and now he is up for president with the legislative power and control of his political party. We do not know what will happen, but we hope for the best. I think it will get worse up until the point of no return, or a miracle will happen that will clean out every corrupt agent in the government. I am really worried about the government, what the government can turn into, now that change has been out of our control for far too long. Anyway, that being said, I think that's all the time we have. Ángel, thank you for coming out. To our listeners, thank you. This was a really important topic because it's what we're up against in the present. We have to make a change, and democracy is needed in our country. Thank you to everyone, and we hope you have a fantastic evening. Thank you.